Welcome to the Explainer. All right, let's talk about that voice. You know the one in your head that's always telling you you're not good enough, that you're a failure, that you don't deserve kindness. Today, we're going to figure out how to turn down its volume and maybe even change the station for good. So, do you ever find yourself just lying awake at night thinking about some dumb mistake you made years ago? Or maybe you replay a conversation over and over, just blaming yourself for every little thing you said. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. But it kind of feels like you're trapped in a prison that you built yourself, right? Well, here's the good news. You're also the one holding the key. So let's find it.
Okay, first things first. We have to really understand what we're up against. This inner critic, it isn't just some random passing thought. Nope, it's a deeply ingrained pattern. So let's put this thing under the microscope and see what it's really all about.
This term, self-flagellation, it sounds intense, and honestly, it is. This is way beyond just taking responsibility for your actions. This is a form of mental self-punishment. It's not just about saying, oops, I made a mistake. It's about putting yourself on trial, acting as the judge and jury, and finding yourself guilty again and again and again. And this right here, this is probably one of the most important distinctions we're going to talk about. Look at the difference. Saying, I made a mistake, that's about something you did. It's an action. But saying, I am a mistake, well, that's a direct attack on who you are, your identity. One of these leads to learning and growth. The other just leads to shame. It seems like a tiny change in words, but the impact? It's absolutely massive. You know, a lot of spiritual traditions have some really powerful wisdom on this. Take this quote, for example. The core idea is pretty simple, but profound. If a divine power, something infinitely greater than us, can be merciful, then why are we so incredibly harsh with ourselves? And when it says do not destroy yourselves, it's not just talking about physical harm. It's talking about the constant internal emotional damage we do to ourselves with our own thoughts. And make no mistake, this internal battle doesn't just stay in your head. Oh no, it spills out into every single part of your life. It messes with your relationships, it makes you terrified to make decisions, it leaves you feeling constantly exhausted. It ruins your sleep, your focus, and at its core, it whispers this really toxic lie that you just don't deserve to be loved.
So, the big question is, where does this nasty inner voice even come from? I mean, we're definitely not born with it. It's something that gets built piece by piece, brick by painful brick over the course of our lives.
A lot of the time, this voice is really just an echo from our past. It could be the ghost of a parent who was always criticizing, or maybe a teacher who demanded perfection. Sometimes it's the voice of a toxic ex-partner that you've internalized. We hear their words so many times that eventually our brain just hits record and we start playing them back to ourselves, doing their work for them long after they're out of the picture.
Now this is a total game changer. It's a complete reframe. Think about it. What if making a mistake wasn't proof that you're a bad person? What if it's just a normal, expected part of being human? An opportunity not to beat yourself up, but to actually learn something and grow from it. That changes everything, doesn't it?
All right, let's pull back the curtain and look at the tricky mental habits that keep this whole cycle of self-blame on autopilot. Think of them like deceptive traps in your mind or glitches in your thinking that keep you stuck. It's time to drag them out into the light.
So this first one, overgeneralization, is a really common one. You might know it from cognitive behavioral therapy. Basically, it's when your mind takes one single negative thing that happened and turns it into this never-ending pattern of defeat. It's like your brain is a bad journalist, writing a huge dramatic headline that says, "You fail at everything," based on just one tiny event.
Yeah, I failed on this one task, so I must be a complete failure at everything. Sound familiar? That's overgeneralization in action. It's like you get this sudden case of mental amnesia, where you totally forget every single thing you've ever done right, and you can only focus on that one time you messed up.
Okay, trap number 2, black and white thinking. This is when your mind sees everything in absolute extremes. It's all or nothing. There's no middle ground, no shades of gray. You're either a total success or a complete failure. There's just no room for, being a pretty great person who just happened to have an off day. And this is its anthem. If I'm not perfect, then I am worthless. But here's the truth. Life is almost never black and white. It's lived in the gray areas. And if you have this all-or-nothing mindset, you're basically just setting yourself up for constant disappointment.
But even when you're caught in these traps, feeling like you've completely messed up, there's still a message of hope. This kind of ancient wisdom is like a lifeline.
It reminds us that no matter how badly you think you've transgressed against yourself, you shouldn't despair. The door to mercy and self-forgiveness is never, ever locked.
Okay, so we've taken a deep dive into what this inner critic is, where it comes from, and the mental traps it uses to keep us down. Now for the most important part. What are we actually going to do about it? It's time to build a practical toolkit for rewriting that negative inner script.
Here is a simple but incredibly powerful 3-step method you can use. Think of it like a circuit breaker for your negative thoughts. First, awareness. You have to catch that voice in the act. Literally stop and write down what it's saying. Second, investigation. Challenge it. Ask yourself, is this 100% true? Is it a fact or is it just a feeling? And third, rephrasing. Rewrite that thought into something more balanced, something more compassionate. This process stops that automatic negative spiral and gives you the power to change course. And here's a really concrete way to put that into practice. Using a simple journal or a table like this can be a game changer. You have one column for what happened, just the facts, then what I told myself. That's where you write down the harsh, critical story. And finally, the truth, where you rephrase it with balance and compassion. Doing this helps you physically see the difference between reality and the junk your inner critic is telling you. Seriously, give this a try.
Let me ask you a question, and I want you to really think about it. If your best friend came to you and told you they made the exact same mistake you're beating yourself up about, would you ever in a million years say the same cruel things to them that you say to yourself? No way, right? You'd be kind, supportive. So why is it okay to treat yourself so much worse? The whole goal here is to start treating yourself with that same kindness.
And please remember to be patient with yourself. This is not an overnight fix. For many of us, we're trying to unlearn years, maybe even decades of bad mental habits. So small victories are actually huge wins. A day where you just don't beat yourself up, that is a massive success. You have to celebrate those moments. They're the building blocks for a whole new, healthier relationship with yourself.
This is such a powerful idea to end on. It suggests that mercy and compassion are a cycle. To receive it from the one in the heavens, you have to show it to those on earth. And you know who is on earth? You are. That cycle has to start somewhere, and it might just have to start with the person you see in the mirror.
So, when all is said and done, it really comes down to this. That prison of self-criticism we talked about at the beginning, it was never locked from the outside. You've been the jailer this whole time, which also means you've been holding the key. So the real question is, are you ready to unlock the door and walk out?